Good morning, welcome to Planet Mojo. Today I'm going to be installing this ProFlex flexible gas line. When we left off installing the propane lines, we got this big 1-inch pipe through the wall. It's attached to the back of all these girts. We got the valve in right there, and that goes up and it went to a tester right there. I tested it for a full day, 0 leaks, but I forgot to take the tester off. That's been on there for a long time. I'll put it on screen, but I think it's been a good 3 months that tester's been on there. It'll be interesting to see how much leaked out over that amount of time. So what we need to do here is, I'm kind of limited on fittings because of supply shortages or whatever. These were the only fittings they had when I went there. I'm going to go back and get some more, but this should be enough. This fitting right here is going to go into that elbow up there. I got to take that nipple and the gauge off. We'll put this fitting on, and then this T here is going to go right here. One line is going to go that way for a possible future furnace, and the other line is going to go this way, and it's going to end up right there at that fitting. And if you've been following the series, this fitting right here will lead to a bunch of stuff that ends up at the furnace here, which is this stuff right here. We're going to have this little loop that leads right to the furnace there, and this will be coming down to it. So what I'm thinking of doing is unbundling the ProFlex, putting it on the floor right here, getting enough of it unwound to get up and over that joist, then connect it to the connector up there and put a clamp on it right here, then uncoil it, get it straightened out, get all the way over to here, then take it up the ladder and put it over this joist and do a rough cut right there. Then we'll put it onto that T-fitting. Once that T-fitting's in place, I'll run a short chunk over to the elbow over here. Then I need to get a line of it going just past this truss right here, and I'll cap it off. I need another fitting for that, but I should be able to get that within a day or two, and it's not really going to matter right now. So the first thing to do is unbundle this enough to get one of the ends out right here, and we'll get that ready to attach to the fitting. Then we'll uncoil it and get it up over the joist there. Now what we need to do is count 4 valleys back. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can either use a utility knife or one of these PEX cutters, and what you got to do is just cut through this outer coating all the way around. Just do this really lightly. We have a duplicate of this connected up there on the metal pipe, and it's connected with an appropriate thread tape. This is Monster, and it's rated for gas. And then what you got to do is take this part off. I'll show you right here, and it has all this stuff in it. You'll be using all this stuff to connect it to here. We'll take all this out. Take this off and put that on like that. We have 4 things right here. This is the first thing to go on. This is a split ring. And open that up. Don't open it up too far so that you break it. Then you slip this over the fourth valley. 1, 2, 3, 4. And close it like that. Now, put the slide ring on and stretch this O-ring into place. Just like that. This last washer is a high temperature gasket, and that's going to go in the fitting itself. I'm going to take this up and put it in right now. And there we have it. That should stay in place. You can see my Teflon tape right there. All right, now we're going to thread the ProFlex up and over the top, and we're going to make a nice gentle bend and connect it to right here. One last thing that I'm going to do, and this is optional, the ProFlex comes with these caps on the end. I'm just going to slide that over the end and loosely tape it in place to keep junk out of the tube while I stretch this out on the floor. We have a dirty floor here, and I don't want grit to get in my propane lines. Just like that. Okay, what I've done, I just connected 2 zip ties together and loosely zip tied this in place. Now what I gotta do is move the ladder. I'll probably go, well, right on the other side of this bench here, and then zip tie it again. And I'll do it one more time before I get to where the T is. All right, it's gonna get a little bit loud here and there, especially when he's right by the building. We have our dirt guy here moving some dirt. We had the rest of our retaining wall put in, and he's gonna be moving these big boulders over here right into that spot there and digging a trench for the culvert pipe. This culvert pipe right here is gonna come up to the ground, and I've got a sewer cover. Lots of cool stuff going on back there, but back to this. I'm gonna have to run to town for one-sided 3/4 inch EMT clamps. I'm gonna need a good amount of them. I think I'm gonna have to put them every 2 feet, maybe 3 feet. I'll look at the manufacturer's specifications on that, but I can get a whole bunch done today. What I'll do is make that connection there. I have one clamp, I'll clamp it right there. I'll cut this off kind of roughly here. I'll cut the piece for right here, get the T in place and get it connected over there. And then I'll run this last chunk of it over to there, but I'll make all the connections tomorrow when I have the right clamps. All right, so these flex pipe to fitting connections do not require pipe dope. Don't put any on there. So what you do, just like I did, slide it in there and you hand tighten it right about there. Then you take 2 wrenches, get a wrench on here and a wrench on here, and tighten it another 1/4 to 1/2 turn. I'm gonna do it about 3/4 of a turn. I think I misspoke just a little while ago. and said I was going to tighten this 3/4 of a turn. You need to tighten it 1/4 to 1/2 a turn more, and I'm going to split the difference. So there we go. That should do it right there. All right, with that fitting in place, I got some slack right here. I'm gonna pull that from this end, get the slack out of there, then hopefully I can get that bracket on where that goes, and I'll rough cut this to length. All right, now, hopefully you can hear okay. Get this positioned correctly, and get the strap on, and fasten it in place. Hopefully you can hear with all that racket out there, but we got the one clamp in place, and it comes around the corner and goes to the fitting, then it goes to the steel pipe. Now I can pull this slack out of here and get the other end cut. It is 3 days later, and when I was running this line right here, I could not get the slack out without putting a whole bunch of straps on. I put them every 2 feet. But I had to use these 2-hole straps because I didn't have any straps that fit this big line. So I cut off a little sample, ran to the store, and found one that fit. This is a 1-hole clamp for rigid pipe, which is a bigger pipe. So that fits real nice. So what I'm going to do now is replace all the ones that are up there. Then we'll start working on that T-union. All right. That looks beautiful. Yeah, I had a whole bin full of straps, and I was sure that I had the right size, but I didn't. You have to use rigid straps, and I really don't have many of them laying around. 3/4 inch rigid. If you're putting in 1-inch pipe, of course, you would use 1-inch rigid. Another thing to note is that a normal pipe cutter, tubing cutter, will not work on this stuff. I tried doing it yesterday when I cut this. I ended up just using a Sawzall on it, but you need the much deeper wheel on their own cutter. This was about 20 bucks. I hate to spend the money on it, but this will work on copper and other stuff as well. So I guess it's time for an upgrade. All right, speaking of cutting tube, let's get this opened up and get that cut up there. Actually, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. I need to get that fitting on first. So, like I said, I cut this with a Sawzall. So I'm gonna make a nice fresh cut on this, get it attached to one of the fittings and connect it over there first, and make a rough cut over here. Then we'll get to this stuff. All right, it's time to take this nipple and this gauge off. See if we got any pressure still in the line. I'm not sure how long it's been. It's probably been 4 months. It looks like there's still a pound or two. I can't really read it. I'll be able to see it online though. I'll take a look and see when I put that on. I believe it had 6 pounds when I was testing it, and it had that for at least a week. So it passed the test with flying colors. I don't know if anybody leaves one of those on for 4 or 5 months. I'll see how long that was on. I'll flash it on the screen. Let's quick get that stuff off, and then we'll put this on. Okay. We're going to test this again from the very end once everything's in place. I'll get some tape on this and get that installed. We want at least 3 wraps. That's 2. That's 3. And go to 4 for good measure. Hand tight. And then 1/4 to 1/2 a turn. I'm going the wrong way. All right. Now for the T. Okay. We had 1 1/4 space here, so I put in some 1 1/4 spacers, and it's held down with these metal straps. I left the metal strap off the end on that one because I need this to move around while I get that joint done. I did the same on the one that comes across here. So let's get that T in there. Then I can put this strap on and a strap on that one, and then we'll put that final piece in. All right, what I'm going to do is mark the first valley that falls beyond this truss here, and then go 1, 2, 3, 4 beyond that. Then my fitting should clear the truss. I'm going to cut it right at that 5th one. All right, I have this all stripped up and it looks like it's going to work just fine. So we put the nut on first, then the split washer, close that back up, then the slip washer, and finally the O-ring. There we go. Now there we go. And again, we're going to hand tighten it. And then hold it in place and go between 1/4 and 1/2 turn further. Now, we're going to take this one, get that nut tight, and we're going to cut it off right even with the back of that nut. You can see why you don't strap these all the way to the joint until the joint's in place. 1, 2, 3, 4. Got to make sure that you have your seal back in there as well. Split ring, slip ring, O-ring. And tighten. Quarter. About a half. All right, now I can strap this down, and get the next piece cut. What I've done here is cut a 9-foot section of the ProFlex. That's going to go from the T-fitting just past the truss right there. That's going to be for future use, so it's just going to be capped off. And what I did to cap it off was just put a fitting on and a cap. I actually went one too far cutting the casing off, but it's not going to matter at all. This will eventually be cut back to here. I cut my hand on the end of here and got a little bit of blood on there. Should probably wipe that off. This end is just cut and ready to go into the T-fitting up there. So I'm going to put a little more of that spacer on top of that joist right there, and then pull the ProFlex up and over and down to the T. Show you this in better light real quick. This is what the end looked like after cutting it with a Sawzall. I cut both ends fresh, and that's what they look like now. Okay. This is the final hookup, and then I gotta put a bunch of straps on after that, but we are almost done. Don't want to drop all these things. O-ring, oh, that stays in there. Put this on. split ring, slip ring, and O-ring. All right, that should do it. Now for a bunch of straps. All right, that's gonna wrap it up. I have all of the ProFlex run and it's strapped down really nice. The last thing I gotta do is test the lines, but I'm not gonna do that in this video. This video was just about running ProFlex lines, and I think I covered that pretty well. The next thing I'll be doing in the shop, besides testing these lines, is running a dual zone freeze-proof water line. That's going to be real interesting. So if you want to see that, make sure you subscribe and click on the update icon. If you have any questions or comments, make sure you put them in the comment section below. And if you share the video and or give it a like, it helps the channel out greatly. Thanks for watching and have a great day.